Jairus and I have always been friends in the industry, and we've always crossed paths at different speaking events that we've gone to. We really enjoy being able to get up in front of a crowd, and it's not just because we have huge egos. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Landman Show. I'm Jairus Johnson, also joined with Drew Hopkins, and a special guest that we will introduce here momentarily. Brace yourself, not just yet. We want to thank the National Association of Royalty Owners for inviting us to Oklahoma City to be able to be here with them. Drew, I don't know if you've been keeping track, but this is our third episode in a travel trifecta that we've had over the last month. So we were in Boston. We were at DFW, albeit remotely, but I had to travel. I had to come into Oklahoma City for that. And now today we are back in Oklahoma City here at the NARO conference. We want to thank PAC Energy for sponsoring all of these special episodes that we've had and helping us with the travel and logistics to make this possible. We're excited to have PAC as a partner with us for some select engagements. There's a QR code that's on the screen for you to check out some of the great things that they do. And in addition to their software and services, they create great content with special guests. Check out all of that on the resources section of pacenergy.com. I was able to be at the Texas NARO event almost a couple of months ago to be able to give an AI presentation. Fantastic crowd. So very excited to be here. Today, we're not going to talk. We might hit a little bit about some of the AI stuff because you can't avoid it, right? Like it's always everywhere. But today we wanted to talk about something that I personally have not worked a whole lot with, but we have two experts that are with us, who are with us, that's going to allow us to address this topic of owner relations and what goes into owner relations in that department and why is it important and what does it take to be involved in that. Drew, I know you can't help yourself from talking, so you're definitely going to contribute, what you've done in the past with that. In fact, I think when I knew you at Chesapeake, you were leading or head of that massive owner relations department. But with that, please introduce who you invited to be with us here today. So I have a history with the man to my left here. This is Mr. Ardy Amin, and Ardy and I worked together at Chesapeake in the early days and had the same boss, had the same VPs there. Worked very hand in hand to make sure royalty owners were taken care of. And that was such a influential part of my career. And it turned out that was the same thing for you. Yeah. You were able to move along after Chesapeake, after Expand, and now Ardy works as the leader and the owner relations director of Ascent Resources.
Yeah, division orders and owner relations manager.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna make sure that.
And you guys are here in Oklahoma City, right?
We are.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Ascent Resources. Like, where did it come from? Where do you guys operate? Where would people have known that name?
Yeah, it initially started as part of American Energy. Aubrey McClendon started American Energy after he left Chesapeake. And the idea was to build up companies under this umbrella that was American Energy and then split off. And they were all play-based companies.
Right.
Ascent was the first company to split off from American Energy. And we're doing quite well.
It's fantastic. And from the Chesapeake days, so whenever you started your oil and gas career, how did you even get into it? What was the way that you got into even Chesapeake?
Luck.
A lot of us the same way, yeah, for sure.
No, I started out as an intern. My father was bugging me about getting some professional experience, and at the time I was bartending through college, and so he's like, you need a real professional something to put on your resume. I'm like, okay, and so he said there's this company called Chesapeake, and you should apply for an internship there. And I was like, cool. I did it, not really expecting anything out of it. And sure enough, I got an internship and just kind of fell in love with oil and gas. It wasn't anything crazy exotic. I was digging through files all day and trying to find certain things in those files. And that was pretty much my day. And then creating packets and letters and sending them to other operators. So that's how my oil and gas career started.
And
not too different than, so you start with bartending. I started with, there's a big car company here in Oklahoma City called Bob Howard, which I would say, if show of hands, if this was people that all lived in Oklahoma City, 3/4 of the people would have bought your car probably from Bob Howard, right? I graduated college. I had all these dreams and aspirations. What am I going to do? And I went there and they were like, hey, we need you to move the cars from this lot to this lot. And I did that for 6 months. Super exciting. But I got to drive someone to the Chesapeake campus and I was absolutely overwhelmed. Like, it's an entire city block here in Oklahoma City. It's modeled after the buildings at Duke. Is that correct? Like the dorms at Duke?
Georgetown.
Because that was a very big Aubrey thing. And so I got to go there and I was just blown away by it. And I was like, I have to work at this place. And so met a lot of good people. And much like what Ardy was saying, going through, starting at the ground up, being able to get into the file room, be able to learn leases, just lease 101, basically, learn how to handle it, have great mentors there. And I think to Chesapeake's absolute credit, from those 2004 to 2010-ish days, it was excellent training and being able to get people to understand how the royalty owners, the leases and everything all combined.
Yeah. So I want to ask, what did you go to college?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you study in college?
Political science, pre-law.
Okay. Oh, well, we got some poli-sci fans here. So what were you thinking you would do as a career as you were going through college?
Well, I was actually enrolled in law school. My plan was to go to law school right after my internship. I just graduated my bachelor's from OU, and so, but like I said, I got into oil and gas, fell in love with it, and they actually offered me a job at the end of the internship.
Okay.
And I remember asking my boss at the time, I was like, "So, do I still have to go to law school to get the job, or?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "I'd rather you not. We're going to need you here 40 hours a week." So I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "Done. I accept."
Yeah.
So,
and the reason why I asked that is because there are landman degrees. There's a handful of them that are offered, but most people that we interact with came from different walks of life. And the story that you have of your answer of luck, Drew laughed for a reason, because that was exactly what his story was on luck.
Yeah.
I took the traditional boring path. But even in my boring path, like, I didn't grow up as a little boy saying, someday I hope I become a landman, right? Like, it's just nothing that hits anybody's radar.
I need to go through class. I must.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But
miles, that's my dream.
It's really cool how that comes about. So you interned at Chesapeake, and then what was your, like, when you joined full time, were you still doing the same file stuff that you were doing as an intern for a while?
Part of it, I got a little bit more responsibility. I could make edits in the system and stuff, but yeah, it was very much structured. Our boss at the time kept us in a box, and once you perfected what you were doing, then he kind of expanded it. So he made sure you knew what you were doing before he let you take on additional tasks.
Okay, so at what point did you transition to owner relations or division orders?
Division orders.
Tell us a little bit about that division order, that piece of paper that is saying this is your decimal point. What does it take to get to that piece of paper and that decimal point?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, the way it works is when a well starts producing, our production team will send us a notification saying well's producing. And so then that puts us on a clock to get the well set up. So we get all the title opinions, any curative assignments, deeds, what have you, and we kind of build all that by tracts. And at the end of the day, we're adding up to 100%, and we put that information. Hopefully, I've been at 0.9999 something several times. And so you put that into your accounting software, and then you send notifications off to accounting, and then you start to print off the division orders and get those mailed out.
And I'm guessing there's just one division order per well?
Some operators do it by unit, but we do it by individual well.
And then one royalty owner per well? Is it that
I
easy?
wish. No. No, definitely not. It could be hundreds or even thousands.
Do you happen to know, like, what's the biggest deck you've ever seen in terms of number of owners?
I set up the town site one when I was at Chesapeake. I think I had 1,200 owners.
Was that Barnett?
No, it was somewhere in Oklahoma. The title opinion was, I don't know.
Just insane.
Yeah, it's pretty large.
To Ardy's credit, what I remember about him and working in division orders was just the absolute level of just detail that he would go into, along with the other people that you worked with. But it's what made us successful with owner relations. So at Chesapeake, one of the things that we would always look at, and if anybody had worked for Chesapeake, you know exactly what I'm talking about, is we would come into the office and it'd be like a Tuesday morning, and we would get an email, and it would be from Aubrey McClendon to the entire company. And he'd say, "Good news, everybody. We've just bought the entire Fayetteville shell." And you're like, oh, that seems like a big deal. What are we going to have to do with this? And all of those boxes, all of those files, all of that merger would start coming in. And right whenever you started wrapping your mind around all of that, you would see in your inbox another Aubrey McClendon email come up, and it'd say, "I don't know if anybody's heard of the Haynesville shell down in Shreveport, but we're going after that too." And we were just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. At 20, I think like 25, 26 years old, whenever I was doing this, which was very young to try to be understanding this and being able to go out and talk to, as everyone in this room probably would imagine, if a 20-year-old kid, 25-year-old kid that came right out of college was going to come down and sit across from you at your table and try to explain your royalty to you, which you've gone through, or if you had some sort of contentious relationship with maybe that company, that could be a little bit abrasive. And so we went through so many different ways of finding out what worked, what didn't, how could we rely on building our owner relations team at Chesapeake to answer all the calls live, even if there was a long hold time, because we'd never done it before there. We were in uncharted territory. But what we had to have is we had to have a team of wonderful people that would be on the calls all the time, but we also had to rely on Ardy and his team of just these meticulous experts to be able to go through the mountain of files and the mountain of title opinions to make sure everything would get updated as quickly as possible. And that was hard with so many different round after round after round of acquisition.
Not only were we buying, he was also selling.
That's right.
At the same time.
That's
so
exactly
it was
right.
just constantly coming in. So yeah,
For sure.
there's a lot.
So what does that process look like when a company buys another company or buys another set of assets? Like, how does everybody find out that this has happened? Do they just start getting checks, or do you notify them?
It usually depends on the agreement. Sometimes the seller sends out the letters to the current mineral owners, and sometimes the buyer does that. It just depends on what they agree to. But more times than not, it's the seller that sends out the letters notifying the mineral owners that they've sold the asset.
Is there anything that the mineral owners or royalty owners typically have to do when it changes hands, or is that relatively seamless, or should it be seamless?
It should be relatively seamless. I mean, obviously they're going to have questions. What does that mean for my royalty check? Will my interest change? Those type things.
I would assume so many people in this audience, you've had your operator change. I mean, multiple times, right? And frustrating process for sure. That's one of the things that I know we were working on as hard as we could to notify. I mean, what's the name of the game? It's give me more information than I need, and then I will determine when it's too much. But we always say give more information of, hey, this is what happens. This is when it's selling. This is whenever we are taking on these assets. And I know Ardy and his group of Ascent are working very hard to do the same thing, which is great.
And sometimes it depends on how good the data is when you get it.
Exactly.
And so sometimes the operator doesn't provide very much, and you're left kind of scratching and clawing to get as much information from them as you can.
And that's an excellent point. And one of the things that I would definitely harp on, if sometimes that frustration that we have as royalty owners, and we've got a little bit of mineral interest, so I've got to experience it firsthand as well, of if the company that currently has your assets doesn't have things exactly right, or if there's something off in their system, when they transfer that to the new company, the new buying company, and now the new company has figured it out and they are putting the pieces together, and that changes your interest, that is definitely a point of where a conversation needs to be had. And it can be frustrating, definitely. I'm sure you deal with that on a weekly basis?
Yeah, I don't know about weekly, but yeah, so it's often.
So how has this job evolved? like working in an owner relations group? Have the departments gotten bigger? Have they gotten smaller? Is there specialized software? Like, what have you seen happen as a progression?
I think it's definitely gotten smaller. I mean, 'cause I think your time at Chesapeake, you had quite a large owner relations group.
We did. We had like 40 at one point.
Yeah,
40
and-
people taking calls 9 hours a day.
Mhm.
And so when Chesapeake had the Haynesville, the Barnett Shell, Fayetteville Shell for a while, some of the Marcellus, at the peak, we were getting between 2,000 and 2,800 calls a week. A week. And
That's
that
just
was
calls.
that was
doesn't
just
include
that doesn't include emails,
emails
or physical mail.
okay.
That's
wow.
right.
and
Turnover was a thing.
with turnover with people.
Turnover with people. There's a burnout factor. As any job that I think any one of us have, I think that there's going to be a burnout factor to it. But try to imagine, the customer service job, like you call your bank, and you're trying to get information from them, and they're not able to give you maybe 100% of what you're looking for. It can be frustrating for you. It can be frustrating for them, and very similar situation for owner relations agents. They're usually just breaking their career open. They're trying to get into the business. They're trying to do their absolute best. They're trained up very well, but it takes a while to be able to get that level of understanding of what all these so many different pieces to the puzzle mean.
Yeah.
And that can be frustrating. And then what is the worst thing? Waiting on hold for more than like 5 minutes. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I hated it as a manager of that department, of being like, we'd have a big like television screen that would tell us how long someone had been waiting. And you just knew whenever it was up to like a 10-minute or a 15-minute, that automatically would create a sense of a little bit of
anxiety.
a little anxiety.
Yeah.
Little anxiety.
I think it flashed red too, right?
That didn't help. It really didn't help. Going back and looking at it, we probably should have gone with a little calmer color, I think. So that was what we had. We had 40 people answering Monday through Friday live.
Sure.
A totally different group that were going through emails.
Mhm.
We had all sorts of stuff. So I am out of the loop of what's going on today. So tell me about like what Ascent does.
Yeah, we actually have 2 at any given time, and they do about 600 to 700 calls a month and around 1,600 emails a month. And that's just 2 of them.
So is that? I mean, that sounds like a much lower number. Obviously, you were talking about multiple plays. Ascent isn't as many plays, but is there something that has changed about today's development and operations that has reduced that log or that volume?
No, I think it's just Ascent right now is just in the Utica. So
Okay.
we're like but obviously as we expand, the owner relations team's gonna have to expand. But I think also it helps is Drew's team was taking live calls, like they were answering as it was ringing. My staff, it goes to voicemail, they leave a message, and then we research everything that they asked in the voicemail, and then we call them back. I think that can be, like you said, you don't like to be on hold, but also people don't love talking to a machine or leaving a message.
For
But
sure.
if you leave a detailed message, that enables us to gather all the facts for you, call you back with all your answers, instead of trying to scramble and be like, what was the name on the lease? And we typically have all that ready by the time we call you back. So I think that helps keep the number down too. If we were taking live calls, I think we would definitely have to have more people.
And I think that honestly is a really good way to go about doing it, because it gives you that ability to talk to, if it's not just the owner relation person, it's talking to a division order or bringing in a landman in if there's like a surface issue.
Yeah.
Lots of different things to where whenever you call them back, you have a much stronger, the ability to give them answers that are meaningful.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
very nice.
And I think when you do it cold, you may not be able to give them that. You can just give them what's in front of you, but you obviously can't be like, hold on, let me go talk to the landman. Whereas we can do all that beforehand and then give them the call back.
With doing it now with Chesapeake, you talk to landowners all the time, and at Ascent, you're probably taking escalated issues. You're working with your team. What are some of the things that you've seen that is kind of a constant? What are the things that, like, I would say, what are the most common reasons why people are contacting an owner relations department?
Generally about lease bonuses, royalty checks, division orders, asking what is this? Typically owners that don't typically receive division orders get in the first one. They want to know what it means. Does it change the terms of their lease? Um,
Do they think division orders changes the terms of the lease sometime? I remember something
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean, it has its own set of language, but it does say in there, or at least ours does. This document does not change the terms of your lease. So just to let people know, because if they're signing it, they don't want to
I,
have a discomfort about it.
I remember that very, very well, of people thinking, well, if I'm putting pen to paper here, is this locking me into another set of terms?
Yeah.
And that was the biggest thing that we explained over and over again, of this is releasing payment. This is helpful to you. But I understand the concern.
It's essentially just ensuring that what's on that paper is accurate for our files. Address, name spelled correctly. We get your social.
The other question that I had for you is, like, my parents now are 85 and 80, and they have land all over Oklahoma, and they have put a lot of things in trust. They've figured out how to. They think that they have covered all their bases, and I've done as good a job as I believe I can. But whenever it comes to you talking to maybe the next generation, like the generation that is now being deeded royalty interest, or they are coming in completely blind, of they like, I don't know what mom and dad have.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of that, and you're having to explain from the ground up, or what may be able to put in place that you guys do that helps that process?
I think I've seen a lot of people put their assets in trusts and have a trustee that knows a little bit about the business. That's helpful. Um, But yeah, sometimes we talk to owners or the heirs of owners, and the owner has since passed away, and they didn't realize their parents were even getting a check, so they just found it in their stuff, and so they're calling to get more information about their parents' account. What do I need to provide? We generally ask, do they have a will? Do they not have a will? And then we'll give them a list of things in either situation that we would need to move those assets to the heirs.
Do either of you have any special stories of someone that you either had a meaningful or interesting experience with, whether it be over the phone or an owner that you talk to on a regular basis and somewhat developed like some type of relationship or friendship with?
Well, I didn't know where you were going with that, but I was going to say, I could start talking about some calls that I received on a daily, weekly basis, but they may be in this room today. And so I don't want to be like, you're not going to believe this guy that I talked to, and he stands up in the back, and this is the first time I've seen him.
I was hoping you would have the understanding to not tell any of those stories.
We're gonna not do those. I'll talk about a couple of them meaningful to me, of what has helped my career. And number one, I would love to get to know as many of you as possible. I think the best part of my career is the network that I've been able to make, and the people I guarantee you would say the same thing, of the people that you met in whatever your background was, whether it be banking, farming, whatever. I know that the people that we meet along the way just make life a whole lot more enjoyable. One of the things that gave me so much joy was being able to help people. And we didn't help all of them all the time at Chesapeake, right? And we had a lot of people that really liked us, and we had a lot of people that really had adverse feelings toward us, and we weren't going to change their minds. But what I could do was, I was like, I want to do everything possible to show that no matter how big this company is, and at Chesapeake's biggest, Kim, tell me what I'm wrong. Was it 15,000 people that we had? 15,000 people, 11,000 people every day driving to the campus. That's like a small college, coming in. And I was born in a smaller little town up north in Oklahoma, and my dad, my granddad, everybody that was like the real big people in my life said, make sure that you take care of people like they're the most important persons that you talk to that day. And so every time we talked to an owner, I wanted them to know that they weren't talking to a Fortune 500 company. They were talking to Drew Hopkins, and he was going to do everything he possibly could to make sure that they were taken care of. And there was a few times, there was one where a gentleman was having such problems, and he lived in deep Louisiana, and it was very, very hard to get across what we needed to get across. And one day, much like today, I had a speech that I had to give. And it was at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and it was a big one for me. Like, this was early on in the career, and I needed to do this because this was like upper management, could help really give me trajectory on the way up. And I get a call from the front desk of one of the buildings at Chesapeake, and they say, this man's name will just say like, Robert Smith is at the front desk. And I thought, how do I know Robert Smith? Like, where is that coming from? And at Chesapeake, they could send you a snapshot from a security camera to your email. And that came through, and my heart just sank because I thought, this guy drove up, and they said he drove all night from Louisiana to be at Chesapeake right when it opened so that he could talk to me. Oh, I'm in trouble. Like, this is going to be trouble. And so I went down in a suit. I'm looking at the clock. I've got to be in front of the crowd in just a few minutes. And he said, I don't understand this. I've talked to so many people. I need help. And so one of the things that I can't tell you that I loved at Chesapeake was they were very forward on take care of the owners, take care of people. And quick email to my boss, and he said, don't worry about it. We've got you covered. And I spent the rest of the day working with that guy, going to lunch with him, working everything out. We found a hotel that we could put him up in, like so that he could stay. We gave him like the greatest treatment we possibly could, and then we made sure that we had everything taken care of by the time he left. People shouldn't have to do that. They shouldn't have to do that, but they should know that whenever they go there, that they're going to talk to good people like your team. Like I know the people that we hired all felt the same way, but that gave me a really positive feeling of, I thought, I'm doing something that's making a difference. And at the end of the day, or at the end of a career, that's all I want to do. I want to make sure that I've made a little bit of an impact on somebody's life, whether it just be making sure the royalty interest is going in a good way, or been able to help 10,000 people to call in on a 1099 mass run every year.
Yeah.
So what about you, Ardy? Like, what are some of the things you've seen?
I've seen a lot. So,
it's like somebody coming out of the jungles in Nam.
Yeah, I was like, I've seen a lot.
I've seen some things.
I've seen some things. This is for Drew, since he's a big wrestling fan. We had an owner a while back. He has since passed, but he was actually in an underground wrestling production.
I like him already.
Yeah. And his finishing move was stapling dollar bills to his opponent. And I did not know this about this guy. I talked to him several times. Really seemed like...
Was he using royalty money, or like, what was it?
I don't know, but I later looked it up on YouTube, and I was like, that's legit.
That's how you know you're rich. I'm so rich I can staple money to people kind of rich.
No, that's like you got two wells on your property, not just one.
Yeah.
But I talked to this guy every month, and we had a very nice conversation. He was a super nice guy. And then one of the landmen told me, is like, he's actually in the movie The Wrestler. Have you seen that movie?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so he's actually, I think he staples a dollar bill to what's the main character? The wrestler,
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke. And I was like, you're kidding. And he was like, no. I was like, when I talked to him, I had no clue he's a professional.
The worst part about that whole conversation is I know exactly the name of the guy just because he's a wrestler. So I'll tell you afterwards, and I guarantee I know exactly who this guy is.
Yeah, you
probably have talked.
But I was like, small world. I was like, I know a celebrity. I talked to him.
That's a level of celebrity I don't need.
So 90s music. You remember Lisa Loeb?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I got to talk to her parents, not her.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
That's my story. Yeah.
So
I do have one more question.
Please hit.
What do you see happening with owner relations going into the future, particularly with AI and some of these things that could potentially be automated, or sometimes you're talking to a computer and you don't realize you're talking to a computer? I mean, is that going to help it? Is it going to hurt owner relations? Like, what do you, and nobody's going to hold you to this, just kind of curious, what do you think could happen, or how's this going to evolve?
I think it'll help get people faster answers for the basic questions, but I think at the same time it might lose its personability. It kind of, like Drew said, a human being really wants to take the steps to help, and while AI is fantastic, it's just going to do what it's programmed to do, right?
Yeah.
So I think you'll lose a little bit of that, but I do think for simpler questions, you'll get a a faster answer. So I think AI, that's the benefit of it.
I think that makes sense. With most of the administrative or day-to-day questions or queries that people have, they'll be able to get pretty much instant resolution to it because of it being able to do that. So hopefully people will remain in the loop for at least some time to be able to maintain those personal relationships with folks.
That's exactly right. And I mean, to what Ardy said earlier, some of the questions that we hear over and over and over again of, how do I transfer my interests to my kids? How do I get these deeds filled out? What are all the things? What are all the things that I don't know? I do think being able to leverage a very wonderful version of what AI has become. I think it's helping the industry, and like what we see on a daily basis, what you're seeing with like Roland and everything, it's able to help people move faster, and the hope is more efficiently, for sure.
Yeah, that's the beauty of owner relations, right? It's to allow the people in other departments to do their job while owner relations takes care of the basic needs of our owners.
That's right.
And so if without owner relations, you take time away, that delays operations, all that stuff, because people get inundated with inquiries. And so I think that's the beauty of owner relations.
That sounds fantastic. We have, as we kind of close this up, is anybody have any questions that we could do? Maybe one, maybe two, before we've got to end here. Otherwise, we're going to say that this has been absolutely so overwhelming with good information that there's zero questions and we've done our job. Way too well. Way too well.
At this time, Ardy is going to share his personal home phone number and home address with everybody so that you can get in touch with him.
Exactly right. I was going to say we are able to do this by some wonderful sponsors. Jairus already mentioned some before. We've got Roland AI, which is a really cool tool. We've got Novus Consulting, which is the company that I work with. We have Scramble, which is another good, and Anchored Innovations. And what does Anchored do?
I still don't know what they do.
We don't know what Anchored Innovations does. A question?
My question is related to owner relationship, asking the question for a payout statement. If I've done everything I can, I've been polite, months and months and months have gone by asking, emails, calling, wanting payout statements, and I still get nothing. What do you do then? Do I actually, do we need to go to the attorney or do I need to email or mail a certified letter or, because you want to keep a polite relationship, right?
Sure.
So what is your recommendation?
And I think it's applicable to anything, right? Not necessarily just payout statements, but when your contact at the company has gone cold.
That's right.
And you're not getting your answers, what's the best recourse of trying to get somebody's attention?
To be honest, as operators, we run into that too, where we get a non-op division order and we're trying to get answers and months go by. But I would try to see on their website if you can get a personal contact. Like a lot of websites have team members, maybe shoot them an email, letting them know you've tried multiple times to get a hold of the owner relations staff and haven't received a response. And generally that will get a response if you get somebody on the team's page on their website.
It's one of the things that I would add too is like here at NARO, the NARO team, they'll have wonderful contacts, and you can talk about the company that you're having maybe a little hard time getting a hold of. And I almost guarantee it's a very small, big world, and we all know people from different groups, and more often than not, everybody is very open to share because they want to help. So I think let's use the connections. The personal touch is the hardest thing that will ever be and never could be replaced. We've seen this in shows. We've seen this in so many different ways. Like if anyone here is a movie buff or anything, I would say think of AI right now as instead of a Terminator coming out with the red eyes and the guns, think of it as an Iron Man. It is something that helps envelop the landman. It helps envelop the division order, the owner relations, and it provides ways in which they can be stronger, they can be faster, they can hopefully answer more questions for more people, and they can deliver results with a higher level of efficiency and accuracy. And hopefully that makes a difference to that landowner that they talk to down the road.
Yeah, it's an enhancement.
It's
not
an
a
enhancement.
replacement.
That's exactly right.
Exactly right. Well, thank you so much to everybody for having us here. Again, thanks to NARO for hosting us today and allowing us to share some time with you. Drew already mentioned a couple of other folks that we have gratitude for. We also want to thank Pack Energy for their sponsorship and support of this episode. Remember to check out their site, the services that they have on their resources section for more fantastic insights, webinars, and conversations. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, basically any place where you listen or download your podcast, you can find us there. Please have a listen and subscribe. And thank you, Ardy, for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And from Drew Hopkins, Jairus Johnson, and Ardy and me, thank you for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thanks.